Hey, welcome to Green Ink Live with Cassie Premo Steele. I am a poet, novelist, and environmental writer in South Carolina. Welcome, Jean. Good to see you here. Today, we will be focusing on the challenge that many writers have of the fear of being seen through our writing. We will use the regular method that I always use in my teaching, which I will summarize briefly. We will also have some writing prompts. And when I give you the prompts, I will also write with you. So we will co create that writing space together. Before I go any further, I want to do a sound check and make sure that you can hear me. Um, and if the sound is fine, you can put that in the chat as well, and then we will begin. Wonderful. Very good. I want to start with a poem from my book called This Is How Honey Runs. The poem is called What Light? What light do you need to be unafraid? Start with a candle, let it light a seed, then plant that seed. Give it water, walk away, sleep under the moon. Soon, what you dream is coming true. Wake to the sun in the window. See the seed sprung up. You are that seed. You are the candle, the moon, the sun. You are the light. You are the water. You are no longer afraid. You have begun. So we have begun, and I will go over the three components of my teaching method, and then we will dive in to the lesson on breaking through the fear of being seen through our writing today. So, first, I encourage you to have a journal or a notebook or some paper to write on. The reason for this is that research has found writing by hand creates the same long, slow, calm brain waves as meditation, particularly when we spend so much of our time on devices such as phones, tablets, and computers and screens of all kinds. We want to allow our brains the opportunity to slow down and move into a more generative and creative space. Secondly, I never ask anyone to share their writing during a live class. And the reason for this is so that you can tell the absolute truth to yourself on the page. I've written and worked a lot on the theme of writing as a way of healing. And one of the crucial aspects to using writing as a way of healing is to feel the feelings and to tell the truth to yourself about those feelings. So for that reason, we keep all class writing to ourselves in a safe and sacred space. And third, we don't share our writing so that we're not being asked to caretake for anyone else during this time when we are going very deep with our own green ink. What I mean by the title Green Ink, green is about environmentalism, connection to nature, but it's also about being green, being new, being fresh, being vulnerable, like a tiny little sprout just coming up from the ground is green and vulnerable. So that's the third reason that we don't share writing during the live class. So I will begin our lesson now on some of the reasons why writers may find themselves either blocked or having difficulty or afraid in their writing under the general rubric of fearing being seen. And there are lots of ways to articulate this. We can be afraid of criticism when we share our writing with the world. We can be afraid of judgment, either from those that we know in our lives or from complete strangers. We can be afraid of the othering that sometimes happens when we are not identified with the dominant discourse or the mainstream identity. We can fear putting our identities, our difference out into the public sphere and being othered, criticized, or judged. We can also actually fear violence depending on where you are in the world. People live with different levels of violent threat against them for what they write and who they are. We can fear a loss of love from those in our lives or those that we write about. And it seems very different, but it's in the same category. We can also fear being ignored. Sometimes the flip side of telling ourselves that we're fearing being seen is the fear that we might put our work out there and crickets. Nobody responds, nobody likes, nobody follows. There's silence. So, all of these fears stem from a situational problem. That is, they stem from a structural logic that can be changed. The structural logic comes from finding our worth and our meaning in the external. What I mean by that is that when we are writing, we're putting our work into the world in these horizontal ways. We're kind of offering it to the world. And what goes out must come in. So there's that push and pull, that tug, and that creates the stress of worry about how our writing will be received. The problem with this external focus or locating our energy horizontally outside of ourselves is that this takes your true power away from your core. And that core is where the depth of your writing comes from. Not solely by yourself. We also connect with what we might call our higher selves or spirit. We can also connect with the earth and with nature and what grounds us. But one of the most essential shifts that you can make as a writer is to move from this external focus to an internal orientation. That is to move from putting our power horizontally out into the world to locating our power within an alignment, a sense of equilibrium and balance. When we find our power internally with whatever we conceive to be the above concepts, as well as the below concepts, then we're more able to hold on to a deep sense of our own core power. So we might think of the above as spirit or higher self or wise self. In interfamily systems, IFS, it's sometimes called self energy. It is that kind of gut core, deep bedrock sense of who we are and what our meaning and purpose are in this world. When we connect to what is below, we connect to the earth, to all of the elements that make up the possibility of our being here on earth. We connect to nature, the ground of our being. the environment, the ecosystem that we're in, our social and our natural networks, our alliances, our community context, the history of all that, as well as the future. That is below. So we want to move from an external focus to an internal alignment in order to keep our power and write from our core. This is what will create meaning. It is what will give our writing a sense of purpose beyond what anyone thinks of it. It is writing for writing's sake. It is that moment when you get up from a writing session and you look in the mirror and you literally look better in the sense that you look healthier, you look more vibrant, more alive. You are doing what you set out to do that day in your writing session, and you are doing what you have set out to do with your longer writing project or your life as a writer. So this addresses the fear of being seen because it allows us to strengthen the sense of power, purpose, meaning, support, and connection. So all of that is theoretical. How do we put it into practice? With practice. And this is why the journaling is so important, why the writing by hand is such an essential element of my teaching method. Writing by hand connects the above and below, literally through the body as the mind is engaged, the throat is engaged, the heart is engaged, the belly is engaged, the hands are engaged. The hand connects the above and the below, allows us to listen and witness to ourselves and all of the selves, all of the voices that we have within, without judgment or criticism. It allows us to plan. We can plan for our day, we can plan for our writing project, we can plan for our careers, we can plan for our relationships, all through journaling by writing by hand. It allows us to work things out, meaning when we get into pretzely type places in our personal or professional lives, by journaling about this, we can smooth out the knots, untie the pretzels. It allows us to imagine when we're in that space where we are playing, just as we did when we were children and we first learned to write. We can imagine through fiction, poetry, nonfiction, science fiction, speculative fiction, new genres, playwriting, music writing, whatever you're doing, the imagination is engaged when we are aligned with that inner power. It allows us to get new ideas and to get clear and to move forward. So we're at the halfway point for our class for today. So we will move to the writing. I will grab a candle and a lighter so that we can take a deep breath in and reconnect with that light. I will read the What Light poem again, and then we will dive into our journaling for today. So let yourself take a deep breath in as you connect with this candle. As you exhale, feel the light of the candle moving everywhere in your body where you need light today. Just let yourself take a 2 or 3 moment breath, relaxing back into your seat. If you like, you can close your eyes to connect with that wise voice within that interior power and core. What light? What light do you need to be unafraid? Start with a candle, let it light a seed, then plant that seed, give it water, walk away, sleep under the moon. Soon what you dream is coming true. Wake to the sun in the window. See the seed sprung up. You are that seed. You are the candle, the moon, the sun. You are the light. You are the water. You are no longer afraid. You have begun. Our first prompt for today is I write because. Finish that phrase in your journal and then just keep going. I'll keep an eye on time and we'll write in response to this for 4 minutes so we can dive down deep and come back up together. I write because. Begin. Good. Go ahead and finish the phrase that you're writing. And then reconnect with your body in the present time and the present season by just kind of wiggling, moving, looking around at the room, maybe taking a deep breath. And we'll dive into our next prompt, which is sometimes I don't write because. Sometimes I don't write because, and we'll write in response to this prompt for another 4 minutes. Begin. Good. Go ahead and finish the phrase that you're writing. Again, bring gentle movement to the body, reconnect with the room, deep breath, exhalation. And our last prompt is I see. What do you see now after hearing this lesson on breaking through the fears of being seen? We'll write to this for 4 minutes and then we'll check in at the end. I see. Begin. Good. Go ahead and finish the phrase that you're writing. Wonderful. And then shut your journal, put it to the side. I encourage people to not read over what they've written right away. Think of it as seeds that you have planted for the future, and let those seeds stay in the dark until you grow. You are the one sprouting now to become the person who can feel the growth and the wisdom of your writing. We'll talk more about that theme in future classes. If you'd like to check in the chat, feel free to do that. You can also just click the love button if you're not in the mood to write on a device. I understand that. Also, just check in with your body and notice how you might feel some shifts since the beginning of our class today, and how this has not really taken very much time. How actually, in quite a short amount of time, we can dive in quite deeply with our writing in a way that allows us to gain clarity and peace and power with it. Want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being a paid subscriber to Green Ink on Substack. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to talk more about any of these issues. My website is my name, CassiePremoSteele.com, and there is a contact page on there, and you can reach out to me through there. Thank you so much. I will see you back here next week at the same time. Remember that if your schedule ever conflicts with the Green Ink Live, you can always watch it later as a paid subscriber. Mm. Have a wonderful day. I see you, and the world needs you and your writing.